Hi guys, it's Hanie here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. St. Patrick's Day is coming up in a few weeks, and not only it's a really popular Irish holiday, it's also my birthday, so I decided to make a cake. I was inspired by the latest cake trend. I'm sure you've seen lots of number and letter cakes, usually a cookie base, but I've seen them also with cake layers. So today I am going to share with you how to make a shamrock cake. First we need to make the sponge cake. I'm using my really yummy sponge cake recipe. Use room temperature eggs, separate the egg yolks and egg whites. If you forgot to take your eggs out of the fridge, you can always just stick them in some warm water for about 5-10 minutes to bring them to room temperature. Add a little bit of salt to your egg whites and beat on high until foamy, and then gradually add about half of the powdered sugar. We're gonna beat the egg whites until we have stiff peaks formed. Make sure you don't overbeat, because then the egg whites will become dry and grainy. At this time you can also preheat your oven to 350 degrees of Fahrenheit. We can also prepare the baking pan. So generously sprayed with non-stick spray, and then layer a piece of parchment on the top. And I'm going to give it a quick coat with the non-stick spray. Egg whites are ready. You are looking for a stiff peak, but make sure that you don't overbeat them, because then they will become dry and your cake will be dry. Alright, so now I'm going to beat the egg yolks. We're gonna beat the egg yolks with remaining powdered sugar. And you want to beat the egg yolks until they are pale in color. While that's happening, we can sift flour and baking powder. Now I'm adding oil and mixing well, and then we're also going to add hot water. To flavor my cake, I'm just going to use vanilla extract, and we're gonna beat it for about 5 minutes or so. Now I'm adding some food coloring using leaf green, and now we're just gonna fold the flour, alternating with the meringue into the green egg yolk mixture. You are gonna fold it until you have no flour streaks in there. Make sure that you're not stirring, you just want to fold the batter. Alright, it looks like it's done, so I'm just going to, oops, not quite there yet. You see the streaks of the flour there? Alright, so now we're done, and we can just dump it onto the prepared baking sheet. Use a spatula to smooth it out, and then we're gonna bake it until a toothpick inserted in the center of the cake comes out clean. It took about 20-25 minutes or so in my oven. Alright, once baked, you can run a knife around the edges and let it cool completely. Actually, I would recommend that you cover it and stick it in the refrigerator so it's chilled when we are cutting it. For the decorations, I'm going to use meringues. To make the meringues, you're going to need egg whites, granulated sugar, and a little bit of salt. Add all of the ingredients into a bowl, and then put the bowl on a pot with simmering water. Make sure the water is not touching the bowl. Whisk it until all of the sugar is completely dissolved. This will take several minutes. Check it by rubbing the mixture between your fingers. If you don't feel any graininess, you are ready to go. Remove it from the heat and beat on high until you have stiff peaks formed. I'm going to make a rainbow meringue, so I'm adding some food coloring, starting with red and all the colors of rainbow in my small dishes. And then I'm going to take just a little bit of meringue and add it into each bowl, and then we're going to stir it. So we're gonna have 6 colors. To make the purple, I actually used some hot electric pink and sky blue food coloring. Alright, I'm gonna be using a star tip. First, we're going to spread each color inside of the piping bag like so, just on the walls. Alright, we are almost done. Okay, now I'm going to put remaining white meringue into a clean piping bag. Cut the opening and then squeeze it out in the center. Try not to touch the colored meringue too much if you can. Alright, and we are ready to make the meringues. So layer a piece of parchment paper on your baking sheet and start piping. I'm going to bake these for about 2-3 hours and then let them in the oven until oven cools. They should come off the parchment very easily. I like to immediately after I take them out of the oven, I like to put them in a plastic container with a little bit of rice so they don't absorb too much moisture, because if you leave these out for a bit of time, they can absorb moisture rather fast. I'm also going to dip them in chocolate because I will be using these to decorate a cake, and I find a layer of chocolate on the bottom is going to help prolong their life so they don't absorb moisture from the frosting that we'll be using, because I will be sticking these on a cake that is going to be frosted with heavy cream. Let that harden, and then you can stick them again into your container. For those of you interested in the chocolate I used Ghirardelli white chocolate wafers. Now we're gonna dump the cake onto a parchment, peel off the bottom parchment. To protect your work surface, you might want to put something underneath. I'm gonna just use a cutting board underneath, and then take a template and serrated knife and cut out shamrocks. I was able to cut out 3 shamrocks, so we're gonna have 3 cake layers. And I also had some leftover cake, so I cut out small shamrocks with a cookie cutter. With the leftover white chocolate, you can decorate little cake shamrocks. Just drizzle chocolate over like so, and then you can set this aside for the chocolate to harden and then cover them to prevent cake from drying out too much. To fill the cake, I will be using stabilized whipped cream mixed with a little bit of sour cream. So first we need to bloom gelatin in cold water. This will take about 5 minutes. And then we need to microwave it in 5-second intervals until all of the gelatin is dissolved. Make sure that you don't overheat the gelatin. If needed, you can also test the mixture between your fingers, rub it between your fingers to see if there is any graininess, and if you don't feel anything, it means the gelatin is dissolved. Now we're gonna beat heavy cream. Let the gelatin cool for a little bit. You don't want to add hot or warm gelatin to cold heavy cream, so let it cool to room temperature, and then once you have soft peaks formed, you can add it and beat on high. Now I'm adding powdered sugar, and to flavor my whipped cream, I am going to use vanilla extract. You're gonna beat it until you have stiff peaks formed. Try not to overbeat. To loosen the texture in sour cream, I'm adding a little bit of whipped cream into the sour cream first, and then adding the sour cream mixture into the whipped cream. You're gonna fold that in, and this is going to be our filling. I love this filling. It's so good. Especially with kiwi fruit or any fruit actually. So to decorate, we're gonna put the filling into a piping bag fitted with a large round tip. Now put the first cake layer on your cake board and start piping. We're gonna pipe little dots of filling. We're just gonna go all around the perimeter first and then fill the center. Now top it with the second layer. Now I'm adding kiwi fruit. I peeled the fruit, I sliced it, and I cut each slice in half. Arrange kiwi fruit on the top. To make the coins, I'm using yellow candy melts and color mist by Wilton. This is a gold color mist. You need to let it dry between layers. It will only take a couple minutes for it to dry. And now we can use those pretty rainbow meringues. Make sure you use the ones that you dipped in chocolate. Also, don't forget the cake shamrocks. And lastly, we're going to add chocolate coins. And here is the finished shamrock cake, perfect cake to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time.